it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you very much for joining me again today. Today I have got a project which is sort of one that was sort of requested around using some of the paper from the pressed Petal designer series paper. Now let me just grab my huge paper share. So this, if you are interested in knowing what one of my paper shares look like, this is it. This is a quarter of each of the packs, with the exception of the, I'm going to take those off the top actually because they can reflect rather nastily, with the exception of the laser cut paper and the colour families, because those are, I think, a question of choice. But for the designer series paper, this is a whole quarter share of the designer series paper. It's huge. I will link on my blog, on the post that goes with this video. That's the word I'm looking for. I haven't got much of a brain this morning. It was a late night last night, and not a very long one. So on the post that goes with this video, I will link to my product shares, which are for the new ribbons and or the new designer series papers, as I say, excluding the colour families and the laser cut paper. But one of the papers is the pressed Petal. Now I will start by saying the pressed Petal is an interesting one to cut because, let me grab it, there is a cut apart sheet in it, and I'm just going to find it for you. This is what I would call a cut apart sheet. Well, with the best will in the world, cutting that anything other than just I've had to cut it in quarters. And I'm sorry, but you're going to have that to play with. Yeah, it's cut in quarters. So I am going to show you, however, how to use the full cut apart sheet, or at least for today, a section of the cut apart sheet. So just bear that in mind. Put that back with my other papers. But this is a full quarter share. So you get, because these are the thinner weight designer series papers, they are gorgeous, I have to say. And I will be using some of these tomorrow. Just saying. Good grief, it started raining again. I give up. Anyhow, they are gorgeous. You get a lot for your money, but this is kind of how this particular quarter share ends up, because I literally just put it into my guillotine and slice. So it's just how it goes. But it is gorgeous. I mean, oh, that's the other side of that one. That's the other side, lovely wood. Other side of that is the music. The other side of the leaves is Hessian, probably. Burlap in the States. This one I think is gorgeous. And the other side. And this is the other side of that. They are actual photographs that have been taken, that have then been created into paper. So they've been photographed to make paper. But they are original photographs of pressed flowers. I mean, just amazing. Amazing, amazing what our designers can do. All of this appears on page 72 and 73 of the new annual catalogue. So there's some inspiration here. It is part of a bundle, so you can get the bundle of the stamp set and the dies. So do bear that in mind, that you can get 10% off by buying the stamp set and dies together. So, and you can also buy the whole suite for one item number. So if you want everything in the suite, and it will include the 10% off for these 2 items. You only have to put the 1 item code in, so a great way of saving having to type in all those item codes. Anyway, I procrastinate, so let's get on with today's project. I should say projects, because I'm going to make 4 cards. Now, I have already trimmed the paper down, and if you're in anywhere other than North America, you are going to have to just grit your teeth and trim these papers down a little bit more than you may initially wish to do, because they are sized more towards the American letter size paper, which is shorter and fatter than International A4, but they do work. So I've got some card bases, I've got the paper trimmed down, I've got some mats, and I'm just going to quickly, very quickly, put together some very simple note cards. I mean, they're full size, they're full A6 size, but effectively a note card pack, which you could use as a gift. And remember, you get 4 sheets of each of the papers in your designer series paper if you get the whole pack. The bits that I am not using for today are the border and the smaller cutter parts. I'm going to use those for something else. Maybe come back tomorrow to see that. So, the colours in the designer series paper are, she says, having stupidly put her catalogue away again, are, let me turn the page, it's all on a very vanilla base, and it's Crumb Cake, Daffodil Delight, Merry Merlot, Mossy Meadow, Night of Navy, Pear Pizzazz, Rococo Rose, Soft Suede and Very Vanilla. The new ribbon that goes with it is, if I can find it quickly, so by inevitability I can't, is so pretty. It is just, if I can get into it. Come on, let's try a pair of scissors. Look at that. It's basically Rococo Rose, but it's got a sort of gold, it's like shot taffeta. So it's Rococo Rose and gold shot taffeta-y sort of look. Very pretty. She says, not actually using this. Don't think I'm going to be using this today. Wasn't planning to use it today, but you never know. We may change our mind. Let me just have a quick look. I may use little bits. Okay, so I have cut my 4 card fronts, and I have put each of them on one of the panels, or one of the colours that goes with the paper, and I've kind of selected the one that seems to go best. So this one is Merry Merlot, this one is Night of Navy, etc. And I've then got my card bases. So I am going to do 2 that are portrait and 2 that are landscape. I'm going to start with the landscape, and I've got this one sort of prepared. I'm using, rather than using the sentiments from the stamp set, I'm going to use the Love What You Do photopolymer stamp set that carried over from last year, because just because it's last year's doesn't mean it doesn't work for this year. I've already stamped in Daffodil Delight on Very Vanilla, and it still holds up perfectly well. The thank you from that set. I will be continuing that, and I'm using the story... Is it the storyboard punch? It's one of the new punches. Let me check. It will be detailed below and also on my blog post, but let me just get it right. No, it's not the story label. It's the timeless label punch, which I think is a really nice size. So let's go. And I don't think... That one, certainly, I don't think we want the ribbon on. So all I'm going to do is grab myself some snail. This really is not one where you want to use a wet adhesive, because the paper is so thin. And by so thin, I don't mean so thin. I mean because it is thinner. You don't want to use a wet adhesive. It will not stand up to having wet adhesive. I'm applying the adhesive to my mat rather than my paper, again, because I want to make sure I get it right. and it's easier for me to put it on the mat and then put my paper on top than the other way round, and then it's more likely to be in the right place. That's just how I go. I've got an A4 card sheet that I've cut in half and scored down the middle, so I've got a tent fold card. All of these are going to be tent fold. They're not all going to be in the same direction, but they are all going to be tent fold. Now I can grab my liquid adhesive and add some liquid adhesive to the back of my... I'm going to be grabbing another adhesive in a moment, but grab that, pop that on the front of my card, and as I say, I've already stamped and punched my thank you, and I'm just going to pop that in the middle because it kind of is screaming for it. That I'm going to put somewhere to throw in the bin and introduce a different pot of adhesive. Right. Couple of dimensionals on the back of my punched piece, and then pop that in the middle-ish, and that is our first card done. So very quick to put together. This is one of the amazing advantages of this stamp set. Okay, the next one is another, I'm going to do it in portrait. No, landscape, the other one. This time I am going to use Pear Pizzazz because I'm on a Pear Pizzazz mat. So I'm just grabbing my thank you. I've got a scrap of very vanilla cardstock, ink up my stamp, stamp it down, and we're done with that. That's all I need that ink for. Obviously you could just stick with one colour and then you wouldn't have to have more than one colour. I just thought it would be quite cute to have them match the cardstock that I've used. Then in with my punch and punch. And do I want the ribbon? See, this one I think might take the ribbon because we've got the Rococo Rose. I think what I might do is 2 with the ribbon and 2 without the ribbon, so that it kind of looks meant. So I'm just going to cut this at an angle, and I'm going to cut it at the same angle as in mirroring, so doing them both on the same slant at the other end. And then I can put the card together, and we're 13 minutes in, and most of that was talking about the sweet. So again, let's just add our snail, pop the paper over the top, and again this is a very narrow mat. Then a little bit of adhesive in the middle, just to hold that in place, and then this I'm going to add on top, and I'm going to use edge pieces, which I'm running short of on that particular sheet of dimensional, so I'll use another one, but I want to keep away from the ribbon. I find that sticking a label over ribbon with dimensionals is not a great idea because it takes up the bulk of the ribbon as well. So you tend not to get the ribbon, the label to adhere properly, and it all looks a little, just not right, for me anyway. Pop that kind of in the middle. Okay. I'm now wondering whether I should have had it that way up. Yay! I can peel it off. No one will see that bit that I've just torn of the paper. It will be our secret. That's better. For me, that just sits better. So again, another piece of A4 cut in half, scored down the middle. to adhere that. And I kind of go with the, once you've decided, I don't believe this one's run out as well. Yep, that one's out as well. It's probably time, that one feels heavier. It's probably time I got rid of some of my old tubes of Tombow. That's better. I like to keep them until the last possible moment, particularly as in Europe at the moment we have a bit of a shortage of Tombow, thanks to the German customs not liking anything liquid. We are getting it sorted out, but it's just not sorted yet. So yes, if I'm doing a set, I like to have everything tent fold or everything gatefold. Right, let's go for the Night of Navy, and I've put down, there we are, Night of Navy ink. This one I am going to put ribbon on. Am I going to put ribbon on this one, or am I going to put it on the other one? There's part of me that I'll bring in the other one in a minute and we'll have a look. So Night of Navy, and again that's that nicely done. And while I am stamping, I'm going to do the Merry Merlot as well. So I'll just clean that up, trim those bits off, and do my Merry Merlot for my final card. Will someone explain how a cat hair got on here? I'll be taking that off soon. Very gently, I'm going to just encourage that cat hair off my ink pad, because you do not want a cat hair on your ink pad. There we go. Do not poke your ink pad with a piercing tool. I was very much using the edge. Please, please do not poke your ink pad. It's not a good idea. Right, okay, let's punch those out and then we can quickly put our last two cards together and decide which one is going to have some of the gorgeous Rococo Rose ribbon, because one of them is going to. Right, so the question is, do we put Rococo Rose ribbon there or there as a contrast? And I think we're going to put it there. Yep, we are. Decision made. Decision made. Right, so don't need the Daffodil Delight. These two again are going to be tent fold, but they're going to be portrait rather than landscape. Tape runner. Pop that there for the moment. Ooh. Right, Night of Navy on Night of Navy. That's that one. Merry Merlot on Merry Merlot. Ribbon in the middle. Edge pieces. Just clip there and there. For that one. Can you hear my brain ticking? It's very sad that I'm just so tired that my brain is having to work overtime. And there we go, that's that one ready to go. A couple of dimensionals for the back of this one. And then we can just pop those on the cards and have a quick review. I think I'll put that one there so that it's only covering one of the flowers. Right, my 2 card blanks. Fold and burnish. Fold and burnish, and then, and I kind of like the simplicity of these because they've got quite fussy designer series paper. I think keeping the card itself relatively plain just by adding a sentiment on the front, I think that helps not overcomplicate it. If you added too much on top of that, I don't know. I think that would just be too much. But that's just me. Sometimes keeping things simple and clean is best. So there we go. Bring back in our other cards. So there we are. 4 cards, really simple to make. Just cut the paper, mount them up, and you're good to go. And that, with the envelopes wrapped up in a little box, one of our acetate boxes, wouldn't that make a lovely little gift? And you can obviously have them so that people can see the cards. I think that would be a really nice little gift to give someone. Let's not always give people, you know, the classic bottle of wine or whatever. Why don't we give people handmade gifts anymore? I don't know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I hope you love this paper as much as I do, because trust me, tomorrow you're going to see it again. Just saying, not as I've shot that video yet, but that's the plan, is that tomorrow we will be using more of the pressed petal papers. Thank you very much indeed for watching. As I say, if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing if you don't already. If you need any of the products and you're in the UK, you will find a list of those below, and it would be fantastic if you chose to shop with me. There's a host code that if you're shopping between £20 and £150, if you use the host code, you will get to share in the host rewards. And you also, for every £30 you spend in any one order, you get a sunflower voucher, and when you get 10 of those, you get to exchange that for up to £30 of product of your choice that is current product, not from the clearance rack, because that gets into difficulty when you tell me you want something and it's gone by the time you've sent your vouchers in. So anyway, all the information will be over on my blog, which is linked below. Thank you very much indeed for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.